I'll throw it better.
The Harsh Reality Pearl will be releasing from 900 Global on July 26th, and we have Zach in this one for a different look and more of a focus on where it fits in a tournament arsenal. We are, of course, at Royal Crest Lanes in Lawrence, Kansas, bowling on the Kegel Chromium Challenge pattern. Lane graph is linked in the description if you want to take a look at the details. Make sure to also check the description for instructional videos, links, and discount codes. I do a lot of good things with the support. For example, using code ROSEDAL10 at checkout at CoolWick helps to provide jerseys for the youth leagues at Royal Crest, so I appreciate you all helping me do cool things. The Harsh Reality Pearl is just a straight-up Pearl version of the Harsh Reality right down to the colors. It features Reserve Blend 902 Pearl. The Harsh was RB 902 Solid. A big fan of the decision to call it what it is rather than just keep climbing the cover number ladder for the sake of the marketing theme. It's a strong cover based on the S84 response cover from the Reality and altered, just beefed up a little. And while Tobias threw it with the out-of-box Reactagloss polish, Zach took it down to 500 before going back up to 1000 and polishing back up with the new Rough Edge compound, so you'll get a look here at that as well. Same disturbance core the Reality line is known for, but with the AI outer core, which makes the numbers in 15 a 248 RG, 054 differential, and an 019 int diff. In this case, AI just made the core stronger because the core by itself featured nearly identical numbers throughout the 14 through 16 pound weights in the other Reality line balls. Same story here, numbers from 14 through 16 are virtually identical, just a little more strength with AI. It's always interesting seeing the differences in how equipment reacts for different people. Tobias is a little more firm off his hand, which generally smooths out the ball reaction somewhat because it takes a bit more time for the ball to slow down and move on the back end, while Zach gets a very heavy roll off his hand, so the ball is ready to go the instant it hits friction, so his ball reaction is typically quite a bit sharper, and this ball really moves for him on the back end. This is an important thing to know for your own game, and this is why it's important to watch several different videos with several different testers so that you can get a well-rounded idea of what the ball is going to do. The Harsh Pearl looks surprisingly good and controllable for Tobias from further to the right, but right of third arrow is a no-fly zone for Zach, just much too responsive, so the sweet spot for him is a full zone / arrow to the left of where it looked best for Tobias. This ball does still seem very responsive to hand position changes. If you want it to hook set, just get more up the back of it, and if you need it to pull up and drive from deeper, get around it more and it'll do that too. Like we noted with the XL, the AI core doesn't seem to bog this one down or make it chuggy. It still seems plenty clean and dynamic, or basically it either works in the ball's favor or doesn't affect it. Zach also said this ball would definitely need a bit of transition to work with on something tougher or flatter at least. He actually shot 998 for 4 with it in league on the house shot right before we filmed, but on this challenge pattern with a bit of oil to the outside, it was solid but a little cleaner and more responsive than he'd have liked. To pivot into the comparison to the original Harsh Reality, this is the point of having a sanded solid version and a shiny pearl version of the same core and cover formula combo. The original Harsh at the 2000 out-of-box finish on this same pattern is quite a bit earlier and smoother, and because of that, it's more successful at the straighter angles where the shiny pearl struggled. Once he got further in with the original, it was too early and too slow to cover the boards effectively, so once you have some transition and get moved further inside, then that's of course when the Harsh Pearl would come into play. He's bowling in a fresh pattern here, which is important to help illustrate the differences between the two balls. If we bowled on a fresh pattern for the sanded solid, but then put 4 games of transition on the lanes and used the pearl, they'd look really similar and you'd just end up wondering what the difference was. This shows the difference very clearly. The Harsh creates its own friction, while the Harsh Pearl needs more friction to exist for it to be more in its wheelhouse. Even on the fresh, the Harsh Pearl is still effective from deep, but some friction created from transition would make it even more effective and forgiving. Beyond that, the reason to run these two balls together would be so that you can have a similar reaction shape for the fresh and into transition. If the general reaction and shape of the original Harsh is effective and working well, the Harsh Pearl allows you to retain that same general reaction and shape as you get into transition and move deeper on the lane, rather than having to make more significant changes with ball design and reaction shape. Ultimately, the Harsh Pearl is near the top of any arsenal. The Exotic Gem is still the strongest and earliest shiny ball out there right now. It's definitely heavier rolling and chuggier. The Gem, Magic Gem, and Harsh Reality are still the big balls at the very top for the heaviest volumes and longest patterns. The cleaner steps down would be the DNA Coil and Harsh Reality Pearl. Underneath that, you're falling into a mix of stronger symmetrics like the Optimum Idol, Summit, and Phase 2, and medium strength ASIMs like the Virtual Energy Blackout, Attention Star, and Absolute Power, depending on if you need a little more cover or core dominance in the reaction. Balls like the Optimum Idol, which has the gem cover, are going to be stronger and earlier than the DNA Coil or Harsh Pearl, but it's also symmetric, so it lacks the torque from the core, so it's all about matching up exactly what you and your game needs to what the lane is asking for. Once again, the Harsh Reality Pearl releases on July 26th. I do of course have a review out there featuring Tobias. It's a little simpler with more general information about the ball and ball reaction. Again, check out the description for all the codes and links, and make sure Rosedoll 10 gets entered at checkout at CoolWick to knock 10% off. This video was brought to you by Panda Bear Productions. We put the in bowling. Thanks for watching, and may the strikes be with you.
Uh-oh. Well, it's not going to come back from there. I didn't throw that one great. And ideally, I would probably not be throwing it right away. I'd be throwing it when that spot's a little more developed and then come off of it. Oh, too much rotation. I got around that one and it just missed it. I wanted to see if it would hook, it didn't.